So, I know this is labeled movie theaters, but I will give my 2 cents on COVID, even though I know no one gives a shit. It was gonna be a little section with the Filthy Frank thing. Ooh, nobody gives a shit. Um, kind of type meme. So, my whole opinion on this whole virus is that, yes, it does exist, but I think people have taken way too far, and I think there's been a lot of lying and a lot of incentive to get people sick or killed from this shit. And I think the way that these politicians are taking care of it, more specifically the Democrats, um, are doing it, and it's a disgusting way. Fear mongering is wrong, and I will say this: that's what they did in Nazi Germany back in the 1940s and 30s. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. People are not oblivious to this shit. There's been a lot of lying and deception, and the people who, obviously I'm not an expert on this shit, but I mean, I consider myself to be at least somewhat intelligent. And I mean, listen, a lot of the people giving you this information don't know what the hell they're talking about anyway, so I mean, what makes me any lesser than them? In fact, I could be better than them. I know a little more about certain shit, especially about lying and deception, because that's what a lot of these people are doing. So, and that took away my ability to go to the see movies, and that kind of pissed me off. So, yeah, the bulk of this shit. The bulk of this video is about, well, movie theaters, and for some context, it's one of my favorite pastimes to do with my friends. Really enjoy it. We go to a Regal, that's right by a Five Below and a pizzeria. So our little go-to is the pizzeria. Get a giant slice of pizza, a garlic nut, maybe a zeppoli, basically Italian shit. Go to the Five Below, get some candy, then go see a movie. And again, most of it is superhero movies, but again, we'll go and catch something like what was it? Honest Thief was something we saw recently. Obviously, we didn't have to do the same thing because, well, our Regal is kind of shut down because that's what they're doing temporarily. Because these movie theaters are not making much money, and from what I've heard, I don't think movie theaters make much money off the movies anyway. It's a lot of concessions. That's why the prices are so hiked up. I'm guessing, but they have to know people sneak shit in, right? um, so yeah, I mean, it's a favorite pastime of mine, and with the theaters opening up, we were like, oh, that would be nice. Again, we would have seen Wonder Woman 1984 was supposed to come out in June. Well, it's actually supposed to come out last November, then this June, then this October, to an unspecified date. Hopefully by the end of the year. And I will get into that movie in particular, as well as Black Widow a little bit later. But the two movies that I did see was Tenet, which was at our local Regal, and last weekend we saw Honest Thief with Liam Neeson at Tilton Theater and IMAX Theater, which it was nice to go back for there. That's first time I saw saw something in IMAX was Avengers Endgame. It was the same theater, really cool, really huge screen. Oh my god, I'm telling you, those places are like illusions. How the hell do they fit that shit in there? I don't know. But I will say this: there will be like mild spoilers for Tenet or Honest Thief if you were planning to see them. But I'm gonna say this: the major issue with these theaters is that, or at least with these companies, is that they're pushing movies that no one is going to see. I mean, unless it's a healthy movie season and people are like, "Eh, why the hell not?" People are not going to see these movies. No, there's no cult following. There's a little bit of a cult following for Christopher Nolan with his wacky shit. And again, movies made all of its money. It made $100 million in profit. Because it was made on a $200 million budget and has made over $300 million. I almost said 300,000. That would have been really bad. But people are worried because domestically it's not doing well. From what I've heard, Honest Thief with Liam Neeson is not doing well. It's like those movies, like those kids' movies that like, oh, mom, dad, I want to see it, but you can't. Or was it like you don't end up, when you're older? Was it Honest Thief isn't like that, but that's some of the other movies. I think the other was like called War with Grandpa or whatever. So we thought, hey, why not? And it was a Liam Neeson, was it like thriller, action thriller, really cool. I mean, the concept was kind of goofy, but again, the action is something I enjoyed. And again, you know what? I'll say the rules that these theaters have. In a regular theater, if you have like 2 to 6 people with you, I mean, probably like up to like the cap I think is like either 3 or 4 people. You pretty much get a whole row to yourself. I usually go with like 2 to 6 people, so that's why I try to say that. But really, it's like a 3 to 4 people. Pretty much get a whole row to yourself. And then IMAX was pretty spread out anyway. I mean, there's barely anyone in there. And then you have to have or what was it? They say you have to have masks on. in the theater unless you're eating. So if you want to eat popcorn the whole time, you can get away with that. And there's no like bus boys or whatever the hell the movie theater attendants, you know, from the olden days were called. But you know, no one's really enforcing that. So again, you're kind of confined in your own space, and you can enjoy the movie pretty much normally. It didn't feel different except the emptiness of people in the theater, which, you know, is a positive and a negative. A negative because you know the movie's going to bomb. You know you're not going to be able to do this for much longer because no one's coming out to see these movies. But on the bright side, it's kind of quiet. You pretty much have the theater to yourself, and you get to enjoy a movie out in public, which is fun. So I'll have to say this, Tenet was really confusing, and I didn't fully understand it, and I like Christopher Nolan's movies. Like I said, The Dark Knight is my favorite movie of all time. I don't know if I've said that before, but I really like his work, and that's why I want to see this. Visually, it is stunning, and that is probably about it, but like midway through, my friend Jared, he looked at us and he said, "You guys know the names of the characters?" And we were like, "That's a good question." But then they said Neo's name, which is Robert Pattinson's character. I go, "That man, his name is Neo." And so I passed that quiz. Honest Thief, as I said, it was an action Liam Neeson thriller, and was very good. And again, that's a movie that, like, it's like you see a Liam Neeson movie because you want to see Liam Neeson. That's pretty much it. But again, these are not certified money makers for these studios. Apparently, Honest Thief is bombing, and anything out right now is pretty much bombing. And Tenet, again, like I said, people are scared because it's not doing well domestically, even though it's made all its money back. And you know what? I think the issue is the type of movies that we're trying to push out to get people back in the theaters. Tenet was advertised as a movie to get people back in the theaters. That's what it was pretty much advertised as. So pretty much if you were like, it was like, if you support movies, you're gonna see this movie. Well, I don't like Christopher Nolan. Well, then you hate movie theaters. Well, I thought the movie was confusing. Well, you don't like movie theaters. That's pretty much what the advertising was, or at least that's what I thought. I mean, especially afterwards. But I think personally the two movies that could do well, and I'll also say this, because Disney put out Mulan, which Mulan has done terrible, because think about it, you gotta pay $7 a month for your Disney Plus subscription, plus $30 on top of that to view the movie, and I'm pretty sure it's only for one time. Yeah, a lot of families are gonna do that, especially when we're in an economic crisis. Yeah, that's really smart, Disney. You guys are geniuses over there. Again, I think it's stupid, but I think the two movies that really would be able to bring people back into the theaters would be Black Widow or Wonder Woman. And I say this because of the multiple factors that each movie has. They're both big superhero movies that have, or at least are established in some way. Wonder Woman had a movie and was also in the DCEU, but Wonder Woman, the first one, did pretty well. And Black Widow has been a part of multiple movies, multiple billion-dollar movies. Last movie she was in was in Avengers Endgame, and the last movie we got in the MCU, because everyone loves the MCU, because the MCU is its own franchise, was Spider-Man Far From Home, which was over a year ago now. We haven't gotten anything new from the MCU, which I think is just wild to think about. But yeah, you get those fans who saw it, MCU fans, DC fans, movie fans who like the superhero genre, the comic book goers. They always love this shit, but they always complain about it on the internet, which is pretty funny. You also get, just people who want to see a movie, but they know it's going to be a good movie. And then you also get the SJW feminists who are going to be like, women power! Because to be honest with you, those are the people who are most like, put your mask on, you're killing people, you misogynistic pig, but they'll go and see this movie. Like, both of them are not really like feminist movies. I will say, just because a woman is the lead and is a superhero doesn't make it a feminist movie automatically. Captain Marvel is an exception, obviously, but it was also a shitty movie. At least I could sit there and say Wonder Woman, the first one was really good. The second one looks really good, especially because of the rumors of what characters are showing up in it. And, again, I really like Wonder Woman as a character. So, and same thing with Black Widow. Black Widow's not this feminist type person. And same thing with Scarlett Johansson. So you get those people who like think it's a feminist movie, but you get both sides basically, is what I'm saying. And to me, I don't get why movie theaters don't understand that, or at least movie companies, because if they did, maybe they wouldn't make the $1 billion they were hoping, but they're gonna make something like more. They're gonna make their money back, and they're gonna make probably double what the movie cost to make, and that's saying something when these movies are made for hundreds of millions of dollars. So, I mean, that's just my 2 cents on that. But I think the only other movie that's slated to still come out that does have a chance of bringing people back is Free Guy, and that comes out December 11th, I believe. Now, I'm really hopeful for this. So for those of you who don't know, and the reason I'm going to say this one has a chance is because Ryan Reynolds' career has started booming in the last couple of years, especially with Deadpool. A lot of people saw Detective Pikachu because Ryan Reynolds played Detective Pikachu. I was one of those people. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan. I wouldn't have seen it, but Ryan Reynolds was in it. I'm like, shit, I'll go see it. So I think that'll be something good, especially because Taika Waititi is also coming up in the industry as well after Thor Ragnarok, The Mandalorian, yes, he directed an episode, and Jojo Rabbit. So again, I think that movie has a chance, especially because people want to go and see something fun, and people are going to understand it as well. Like, to me, that's going to be more of a, I guess, more widespread thing. It might even become a cult classic because of the time period it came out. So that's pretty much the only movie I think, but I mean, if Disney or Warner Brothers wants to say, hey, we're going to release this movie, release Black Widow or Wonder Woman in theaters, and if it doesn't do well, we'll take it from theaters and then put it on like online or a streaming service, or just let you buy it digitally, go ahead. I think whatever way they can try to get some of these movies out in theaters quicker will be really good. I mean, I'll see any of these movies in a heartbeat. I just love the whole idea of going, but that's just kind of my 2 cents on the whole thing. So, yeah, thanks for hearing my rambling, and hopefully some shit goes back to normal, like all this shit goes back to normal. Holy shit.